name's Todd, and welcome to the Laundry List. I'm your host, and we're excited to be back. I think we took last week off. I got Blake here with me, and we are excited to be here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, or almost afternoon, and in Old Town Scottsdale. We were just talking about how busy it's getting in Old Town. This is the weekend that starts all the festivities and the snowbirds, and like everyone comes into town. So we were like all having problems finding parking, and that's a good thing. It's good for business in Arizona. We got a lot to talk to you about today. And before we get started, Blake, how you doing, Blake?
I'm doing great. I really.
Blake came over for dinner last night. We were talking about how we never know where the universe is going to take us.
No idea. And it's so fun when you can get to a place where you let go control and you just flow. And you just let it flow, and wherever you're supposed to be, whatever you're supposed to do, you end up doing. And if you don't, as one of our good friends and listeners says, if you ride the wave, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because you can't stop the wave. The wave's coming, so you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then bask in it. And just like, another one of my favorite quotes is, just go with the flowing water. If you try to swim upstream in a hard flowing water, it's tough.
Yeah.
But if you just go the right direction and just like let it go and put your head back and just enjoy the ride, it's beautiful.
It is.
I know you and I have had some of that experience this last week in business, and you just almost don't worry about shit.
No,
you're like,
you
okay.
don't. And we'll
show up every day and just
do the best you can. And our depth of experience knows that what's supposed to happen is going to happen.
Right.
The whole, worrying about every little detail and, all of the different things and trying to control things, trying to control people, just everything works out.
Yeah.
And it works out exactly how it's supposed to.
And like I've shared on this podcast, my son, my oldest son is always giving me this song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. And he's a constant reminder that no matter how hard I try, I can't control the world.
No.
I can't control people, places, and things. I can't control myself. But it's a reminder that the more I try to control, the less acceptance and serenity I'm going to be in.
Yeah, and I think once you really truly get in that acceptance and that surrender is where you find peace.
Yeah, that's one of the topics I want to talk about today, is that life will continue to show us where we are not in acceptance and in freedom in life.
Absolutely.
So why don't we read the laundry list?
I will kick it off with the laundry list. So this is the laundry list. 1, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. 2, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. 3, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. 4, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality such as a workaholic to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. 5, we live life from the viewpoint of victims and are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. 6, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults, etc. 7, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. 8, we became addicted to excitement. 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhood and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience painful abandonment feelings, which we receive from living with sick people who are never there emotionally for us. 13, alcoholism is a family disease. We became para-alcoholics and took on the characteristic of that disease, even though we did not pick up the drink. 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors.
Excellent. That's the laundry list. Those are the traits we lived in as a child to deal with dysfunctional homes, and we carry on to adulthood. And this is what we get when we do the work and listen to this podcast.
So 1, we will discover our real identities by loving and accepting ourselves. 2, our self-esteem will increase as we give ourselves approval on a daily basis. 3, fear of authority figures and the need to people please will leave us. 4, our ability to share intimacy will grow inside us. 5, as we face our abandonment issues, we will be attracted by strengths and become more tolerant of weaknesses. 6, we will enjoy feeling stable, peaceful, and financially secure. 7, we will learn how to play and have fun in our lives. 8, we will choose to love people who can love and be responsible for themselves. 9, healthy boundaries and limits will become easier for us to set. 10, fears of failure and success will leave us as we intuitively make healthier choices. 11, with help from our ACA support group, we will slowly release our dysfunctional behaviors. 12, gradually with our higher powers' help, we will learn to expect the best and get it.
Yep. With our higher powers' help. We can't forget about our higher power. So yeah, like one of the things I wrote down before we started the podcast was, one of my favorite sayings that I say all the time to people in AA and ACA is that life will continue to show me where I'm not in acceptance and in serenity. Hence the suffering. Yeah. Hence the pain, and it could be a business deal. It could be a personal situation with my family. It really doesn't matter. The feeling is the same. And the feeling for me is like, it shows up in my body. It shows up in my breath. It shows up in my heart rate. It shows up in my attention span. It shows up in just my demeanor and energy everywhere. And it's like so uncomfortable. I remember one time with a health anxiety I had in 2011 and 12, I got to the point where I didn't even give a shit what happened with the health anxiety. I just was praying for freedom of pain, anxiety, and just panic. Because I was so sick of being in panic, so sick of being in anxiety that I just didn't give a shit anymore about the health problem. I just wanted that anxiety to go away. I wanted to get to bed. I wanted to relax. I wanted to be able to watch a TV show and remember what I fucking saw. I wanted to be able to have a conversation with you and remember the conversation, because when I'm in that full-fledged panic and fear, I don't remember anything. I'm never in the moment. I can never remember what I did yesterday. I'm super forgetful. I'm sweating. I'm my heart's racing. My blood pressure's up, sleeping like shit. And it's just not a fun way to live.
Yeah. It's like the mania.
Yes. Yeah. Worse. At least mania, you think you're having fun.
I mean, but it's that sheer panic that just overwhelms and consumes. I get it.
Yeah. So on a daily basis, I try to look, where am I not in acceptance? Yeah. I mean, my boys, stuff going on there. I'm like, where am I not in acceptance with Grayson? Where am I not in acceptance, with Bond? Where am I not acceptance in business? I had a situation in business which caused a bit of a panic. And I was talking to the gentleman who was running the company, and he told me he's leaving. And at first I was calm, and then he said a few things that triggered me, and I got super irate. And I started threatening him, and I started saying, do you have any fucking idea who you're talking to? Yeah. Do you know what I'm capable of? And I turned back into that 23-year-old drunk kid who was going to fuck everybody up. And when the cop pulled me over for a DUI, I would tell him, do you have any idea who I am? You're going to lose your badge. This punk kid, I turned into that guy. Yeah. And it's fight or flight. I was scared. I was in fear. I was in panic. So what did I do? I threatened him. And I wanted to force him to so I could get what I wanted.
Yeah, you wanted to show him who really rules the shit, runs the show.
Force him into behavior that I wanted to see. Yeah. And at the end of the day, this is such a blessing, as we know, because you're involved in this business, and it's such a blessing that this happened. And it's why go through that pain and anxiety? Just like we talked about, why even go through it? But it's unconscious. Yeah. I learned it at a very, very young age, that when I remember this kid beat me up my first day of school in 4th grade. Yeah. I'm the kid from New York, and I'm this I'm kind of very social, and I walk in, I'm talking to everybody, and this kid's like, I'm going to show this fucking New York punk who's boss here. Yeah. And I'm riding my bike home the first day of school in 4th grade, and this kid takes me and tells me to get off my bike, and he knocks me right in the eye, big black eye, and leaves. And I run home, and I'm like, for years, I had a resentment against this guy. For years, I thought about this kid. I mean, this kid took up so much space in my head. I'm going to kill this guy.
Yeah, he was renting space in your head for years.
And then fast forward into our 40s, he got sober, And from North Scottsdale Fellowship, he apologized in front of everybody and got teary-eyed and started crying.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. But it just shows you for how long did I take up space? Just like this guy who left the company, the whole night I didn't sleep. Yeah. I was in anxiety. I'm like, I'm going to fuck this guy up, you know?
And then isn't it so funny that now, you know, you have a depth of experience, but sometimes it's easy for us to forget that a lot of times when things change or things, you know, he said he's leaving, how there's always something better on the other side.
But you don't see it when you're in fear and anxiety.
When you're in fear and your anxiety. But it always, in my experience, if you can just get through the fear and anxiety.
Right. And that's where prayer, talking to other people, meditating.
And I think for me, when I'm in that fear and anxiety, it's really important for me to do absolutely nothing.
Just sit in the feelings.
Just sit and be like, oh my God, this is the way I'm feeling. I don't need to do anything about it. And I don't, because for the longest time, I would call and complain and whine and want everyone to tell me that I'm going to be okay. And you're really just pacifying the problem because you really want to get to a point where you can self-soothe and you can do those things and you sit with your emotions. This is what I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling it. This is why it's not irrational. This is why it's irrational, you know?
Well, just like you said, you're looking for approval.
Yeah.
And because it gives you comfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're calling me, she left, I'm so pissed, I'm scared, I'm freaking out, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Blake, you're going to be okay. Blake, everything's fine. But guess what? That's a drug.
Yeah.
And the more I tell you those things, the more you don't believe them because the more you need me to tell you those things.
Sure.
So it's like constant. So guess what? You're calling me the next day and you're calling me the next day. And then soon enough, I'm like, Jesus, he's calling me like 4 times a day. I'm like, Blake, figure it out yourself, you know?
And then you go through the abandonment feeling of
now Todd doesn't like
me when it has nothing to do with that.
Not at all.
It's a inside job.
The first time I heard about that self-soothing is when I came into ACA and Julie asked for the divorce. And I had my buddy, Craig, staying with me. And he's like, just sit on that couch. Don't call anyone. Give me your phone and just sit there for a few hours. Don't turn on the TV. Don't read. Don't journal. Just sit there and just feel those feelings. Because those feelings suck. And those feelings are painful. But just feel them. Because your whole life you've been running from those feelings. Mm-hmm. And just feel them. And realize you're going to be okay. You're going to get through them. Yeah. This too shall pass.
And isn't it amazing now looking back on it? Because I have that same experience. Like I remember sitting in my house, people are around, and I'm just laying there doing nothing, and I'm just consumed by these feelings. It's almost kind of beautiful looking back on it.
It is.
You know, and it's
new behavior.
And it's new, and but in order to get to where we've gotten and where we're going, it's like there's nothing's for free, right? You have to go through that. You have to embrace the feelings. And now I love feeling my feelings.
Yeah. And I love when
they don't rule me,
right?
But they definitely, I make healthier, better decisions because I'm in tune with my emotions. Because at least I'm not stuffing anger. I'm not stuffing fear. I can have all my emotions and then make an adult, decision. Where before, when you're ruled by fear and you're stuffing anger, and then you're not making the right decision.
So let's play that out. We're in fear. We're in panic. We're in the fight or flight. We're in that teenager or that little boy, and full-fledged anxiety, panic, like gonna faint. So what happens then? We call other people to try to get approval, mm-hmm. to self-soothe, to soothe us. We start talking shit about the situation.
Yeah.
So now we're gossiping.
And the other thing is then, you go into the victim.
We go into the victim.
And we play the victim.
Fucked. We're getting screwed.
This guy's screwing us. I don't deserve this. Mm-hmm. Like, this is, bullshit.
And which goes back to my first comment when we started, is that life will continue to show me where I'm not in acceptance and free. I'll even go further and say, not only will it show me where I'm not in acceptance and free, but it's going to show me where I don't let people be who they are.
Yeah.
This guy wanted to quit, and I said, no, I'm this little kid. No, you are not quitting. Turns out it's the best thing that ever happened for the company. But at the time, I'm this little kid who's like screaming and yelling, no, you are not quitting and I'm going to fuck you up, you know, like on the playground. And who am I to say that it's just like that song Grayson plays for me. Who am I to say that I need to control other people, places, or things?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what's best for this guy. I don't know what's best for my ex-wife. I don't know what's best for my dad when he pisses me off. They're just being them.
Yeah.
They can't affect me. But when I let them, the story that I tell myself is that I am scared because I am in fear because they're threatening my survival. I mean, originally this is a good thing, right? Like a tiger is attacking you.
Yeah.
You have that fight or flight. You're going to protect yourself. But I think as kids, it goes too far to where other people's reactions and thoughts and behavior.
And you become reactionary.
So reactionary. Then you live your whole life that way.
And that's how I lived a majority of my adult life, in that pure reaction.
Well, that's why alcohol and drugs is so good.
Yeah, because
it gets rid of that.
It gets rid of it.
Oh God, I'm drunk now. Fuck, I don't have to feel that panic and fear. Oh, I took that pill. I can relax.
And it's
now.
like it doesn't matter that if you're mad at me because it's all good.
Right.
You know, it's like a warm blanket on a cold, winter night.
Yeah. So it just goes to show that something that I think is God given that we're supposed to protect ourselves with, back from thousands and thousands of years ago, man, had this instinct that when there's real fear, he goes into fight or flight and tries to protect him and his family. Yeah. It's like a good fear. Now we've taken it to where some guy flips me off on the road. I'm going to follow him and fuck him up. Right. Like, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, after this guy left the company and I went through that, it was actually an expedited experience for me because I went through saying things that I didn't want to say, being who I didn't want to be. And that night when I'm going to bed, I am visualizing God and light and healing, literally permeating his body and him being close to God and to me. And after 40 minutes of that visualization and that exercise, I felt like he was me. Mm-hmm. Everything's a reflection of me. And I felt like he was me, and I felt love, and I felt comfort, and I felt like I really want the best for this guy.
Yeah.
Where an hour before that, I'm like trying to call people on my phone, like, who can I get to fuck this guy up, right? And it's amazing how quickly I can turn that around.
Yeah. Where in previous years or decades, like that would have been a 10-year deal.
Well, that's who I hung out with.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like you wouldn't have gotten into the solution the next day.
The guy who beat me up when I was in fourth grade, he rented space in my ears for 30, 40 years, and now it was less than an hour.
Yeah. And that's beautiful.
2 hours max.
And then the next morning you're in the solution
I'm fine,
and we're getting it figured out.
Life will continue to show me where I'm not in acceptance, where I'm not free, and on a daily basis. And this morning I'm talking to my son and I was pissing him off because I was pissing him off because I told somebody something that he didn't want me to tell him. And he was pissed. He goes, why would you tell someone that? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know you didn't, I didn't think you cared. He goes, well, don't tell anyone about that. I'm like, all right, but that still created a fear in me, a fight and flight, because I want his approval.
Yeah.
I want my family's approval.
And you don't want to upset Bond.
Right. And it's like, you know what? I have to be me and let the cards fall where they may. Let the cards fall where they may.
And you have to just check your motives. You weren't, as long as you weren't, you definitely weren't trying to do malicious things. You're like you and I were an open book, and
we're social and
we have no secrets. Right. And I think the one place in my life that I'm having a hard time surrendering, and it creeps up, is with disapproval from women. And, whether it's...
Yeah. You saying that reminds me when I was dating 4.5 years ago, I literally would read every text 15 times and have Ross and you and other people look at it going, what does she really mean? What does she really mean? Does she want to go out with me again? And now I'm looking back on that and going, oh my God, was I a child? I was a scared child.
And I think part of it is that my divorce hasn't come to its conclusion, and there's a lot of stuff swirling around in that sphere because I feel like I can't, get closure and move on until that's done.
But even aside from the divorce,
like
pretend the divorce is done.
Yeah, no, but I think part of that is that because that's just still lingering, and I still I've let go of the fact that we'll never be together.
Right. But these new women that you're talking to.
Yeah. I still want to people please them because
you want their approval.
I want their approval because that's the only thing I've known how to do with women, whether it was my mom, whether it was my ex-wife, whatever. I had to put on an act and put up a charade to get you to like me.
Because otherwise you're alone.
Otherwise I'm alone. I don't deserve love. And
you're abandoned and no one loves you.
Yeah. And if I do these things and I get their approval, then they'll love me.
So what if, I was just thinking about this, like what if you and I, God comes down and says, Blake and Todd, got a new project for you for the rest of this human body. You're not going to be with another woman the rest of this lifetime.
Yep.
No Blake, no Todd.
Yep.
You're not a priest. You're not, you're not celibate, but you're never going to be in a serious relationship for the rest of your life because that's the experience and that's the journey I want you to go on to learn in this life.
Yeah.
I mean, how scary does that sound?
That sounds really scary. And that's probably the example of something that I haven't given surrender to because I've been in a, relationship for so long that I got a lot of my,
and we think there's comfort in that.
And
oh, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay.
And I had someone that I was, subconsciously always people pleasing for. That was a big motivation. But now I don't have that. And it's also, I'm getting better at being alone. I'm getting better at, doing things that I want to do. For the longest time, I had no idea what Blake wanted to do.
Yeah, because we're so busy.
And now I have a good idea of what Blake likes to do.
And even reverting back to when we were kids and being raised in homes that were healthy and also unhealthy. I don't think society and the world teaches kids on how to self-soothe, self-love, and be comfortable with themselves because we're so busy trying to endorse codependency. Oh, my Johnny doesn't have a play date. Oh my God, I got to get a play date for him. Oh my God, Johnny didn't get invited to that birthday party. I'm calling that mom.
Yeah, we've also ripped.
We go into a panic as parents. So guess what? Those kids are going to realize, oh shit, I can't be alone. Oh shit, I didn't get invited to that birthday party. I'm not good enough.
And I was probably part of the first generation where sports and it all had to be fair. And we're really doing a disservice because you quickly find out it's not fair.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And it's okay.
Yeah.
But you have to deal with it. And you have to, I think those are some things. I think where we went to high school, they did do a good job of at least showing that like things aren't fair. You're judged on your own merits. And, that's the first time that I really had to start like dealing with like life's not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did too learn at Brophy some of the things that, it says in our coin in our 12-step program. And I learned this at Brophy actually from Dr. Lentz did you have Lentz?
Renna, Reese.
Renna. Yeah. So anyway, this guy Lentz, speech teacher, he would talk about that to thy own self be true. It was like poetry and philosophy. And I always saw that on the coin. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And really for me now, what it means is to thy own self be true is that I love myself. I am who I am. And I'm not going to change who I am for anybody and anybody and anybody in this lifetime. So wife, kids, best friend, parents, dog, I want to be who I want to be. Yeah. But we're so conditioned to be who what other people want us to be from a very early age. So it's contra.
And then you go through this whole cycle of you're trying to be what you think they want to be.
Right.
What you think they want you to be. And a lot of times that's wrong. And you're just really just screwing the whole thing up.
And then those people go away in your life, and now you're like become this fabric of who they want you to be. And now you show up with a new group of people, and they're like, no, we don't want that person. We want this person.
Yeah.
You know? And that reminds me of like high school. I was the jock. I was in the rockers. I was in the drugging crowd. I mean, I went to like 5 different groups and broke.
I was a chameleon too.
Yeah.
Where I can go sit with the band nerds, and then I'm with the Ropes and Son and whatever.
And it's like, and it's just so counterintuitive and contrary to what we teach on this podcast, which is self-love. And people are like, well, that's a great word, self-love, but what does it really mean? It means enjoying being with yourself. Because to me, love is like, I mean, yeah, you can love someone romantically. You can love someone who's your kid or your family. But love to me is like freedom of yourself to somebody else. It's like giving of yourself with no expectations. How can I help you?
Yeah.
What can I do to make your life a little bit better?
Something up, it's so perfect.
And it's not a persuasion. People think, well, if you love me, I'll love you. If you are nice to me, I'll be nice to you. But guess what? What if they're not nice to me? Can I still be nice to them?
Yeah. You should be.
Right. And it's like my friend Sister Shivani says, you can reflect, you can refract, or you can change and change the energy. So if someone's mean to me, I can be mean back to them, which is what a lot of people do. Oh, you're going to like my post? Well, fuck you. I'm not going to like your post. It's so trivial and childish. And then the other one is I'm going to go within. I'm going to be an introvert and I'm going to like just shut down. But what Sister Shivani says is let's reflect love and let's reflect kindness and forgiveness. Yeah. And what does that do to the other person? The other person's like, huh, okay.
But I think it also creates this thing inside you where, at least for me, if I'm not seeking approval from other people, I can be honest and vulnerable for where I'm at right now. And it actually helps me in the long term, and I, you obviously know, cause you called me on, I took a new position. Obviously there's fear, and I texted someone. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. And this is what he, if I can read it real quick, what he said. He said, your impatience drives you to irrational, poorly measured acts. It leads to think poorly measured thoughts and speak poorly measured words. When your mind fixes on something, consider the wisdom of being in control, however, still progressing quickly. With boldness is a strength of yours. To achieve your goals, you must call on something more important than courage. Temper this energy with patience. Be calm and composed in all situations. This breeds confidence in yourself and from others. Don't delay undesirable but necessary and unavoidable acts. Eat the frog early. Whenever you have not done so in the past, the issue tends to grow and cause more collateral damage. You have a tendency to do these undesirable acts last and put them off. Do not constantly make this mistake. Do not be too eager to please anybody. Remember, confidence in yourself and your values, your goals and beliefs will attract people that would rather try to please you.
That's very profound. Did they write that, or was that a quote?
No, he wrote that.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
I want to meet this gentleman.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm going to have to read that like 6 times to comprehend it, but that was beautiful. I mean, we want to know the result, right?
Yeah.
We want to know what's the end game. I don't want to have any trouble or, going detours to get there. I want to know it's going to be all good. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to make a lot of money. It's going to be joyous. But guess what? Life's not like that. No, life's bumpy.
And the guy, cause I've been, over the last couple of years, fascinated by entrepreneurship and the guys that really get good at this game, cause it is a game, actually enjoy the suck in the process more so than the final result.
Yeah.
Like Elon, he's the richest man on the planet, but he enjoys the chaos and the panic
to get
to where he's going. Well, going all in. He's got no choice but to make it work.
And then part of that reading that you just said was a little bit about people pleasing and making sure you direct the narrative. And I was talking last night and this morning actually to one of our CEOs, Tanush.
Yeah.
And what I so appreciate, and then people ask me, what makes Tanush such a great CEO? I think the first thing I would say is complete 100% honesty.
Yeah.
Like honesty. He's not going to, people please me. He's not going to be a cheerleader.
And he's so realistic that
I'm the cheerleader.
You're the cheerleader. You're the promoter.
Right.
You're like, oh,
I'm like, we're at 10 million of ARR. He's like, no, Todd, we're at 8.
No, or he'll be like, we're at 9.3.
Yeah,
he's like that. That's basically 10. No, he's like, we're at 9.3.
Right. So he's completely honest. He's completely vulnerable with his fears. So the CEOs to me that have no fears, no vulnerability, they're lying. Yeah. Period.
Period. End of story.
And I've looked at my career. Those guys, those deals have not worked. Yeah. So for me, I want bad news first, great news second. Give me the truth.
Yep.
And you can tell by someone's personality of like what they're like. And I'm working a lot on this, and I've changed a lot the last 10 years. But I used to be one of those guys where no bad news. No bad news.
But I also think something that makes Tanush amazing is he doesn't care about the narrative, and he doesn't care about when he tells you something or tells us something, like what the reaction's going to be. Like he doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He's not people pleasing. Right. Like he doesn't care.
He's just giving the truth.
He doesn't care.
He's not looking for the reaction.
He doesn't care if you like him or not.
Right. He's not looking for the reaction.
He knows he's doing a good job and you like him, but
he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
He doesn't care.
The second thing I would tell you why he's a great CEO is because when he talks to his team, his employees, he doesn't make you feel less than him.
No.
So when he's talking to you, he is an equal.
For sure.
He's on the same team. And there's no hierarchy.
Yeah. And I've heard him say to people, I don't know, maybe it was at your first original Brookstone party. I heard him on the phone and he said he was talking to someone because he's always working. He's the hardest working guy in the world.
Totally.
He said, hey, you're not bothering me. In all reality, my job is I work for you.
I'm here to help you.
I'm here to help you, and I'm here to empower you. You don't work for me. You know.
I used to look so much at just resumes and strength and power for CEOs. Now I look at it a completely different way. Mm-hmm. I look at vulnerability and being real, and how much are they talking about themselves, and how much are they being self-serving and promoting. And now I look at like who's a real person. Yeah. Are they talking about their family?
I'd rather have a CEO that has gone through ACA and done the work than a Wharton MBA.
No question.
Like this is the stuff that I truly believe helps. And Tanush does a lot of that stuff just inherently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 6 months after we funded him to figure out where he went to school, which are two of the top schools in the country. It's like, most CEOs would tell you that at the first meeting,
and he doesn't, or then we later found out that he's like the 22nd employee at Facebook.
Yeah. 10. Yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, it's
one of those things. It's attraction rather than promotion, right?
Yep. So what else do we have to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think one thing that to touch on about, when you're saying about, surrendering and this and that, what aren't you surrendering? I think that's really big, but I also think that it's important to remember, because it talks about in the book that we review that, to be gentle with yourself.
Yep.
And not to, rush the process and expect perfection and, beat yourself up that you're still hanging on to something, because
we're human.
We're human. And at the end of the day, we're doing the best we can. And the fact that we're even cognizant of it.
We're spiritual beings.
We're 90% ahead of the game.
We're spiritual beings, which is eternal, forever and ever infinity, having a human experience. And part of the human experience is to feel, and I'm not going to say it's good or bad or we did it right or wrong. It's like we are here to feel this shit, and some feelings feel really good and some feelings feel pretty shitty.
Yeah.
But we're meant to do it all, and that's what I love is like give ourselves grace. Like my sponsor in California used to always say, be nice to my friend today. Be nice to my friend today.
One of my favorite things that you say.
It's like, how do I be nice to myself today? It's what I tell myself. I hear all these things, 48,000 thoughts a minute, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, like I got to tell myself good things. Like you're a good guy, Todd. You're eternal. You're magnificent. You're here to help people. You're like not lying and cheating, And it's like, I need to tell myself that because I've told myself the opposite for so long.
And I think one thing that you can do to be nice to yourself is, and this is something I've been practicing towards since the new year, is, just in general, when you approach anybody, whether it's business, relationships, friends, from the place of what can I do for this person, and just in being, cause I think, you got to give it away to keep it. And that's how I am nice to Blake.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming from a place of, I'm not manipulating the situation. I want to be helpful, and that's just the attitude. And then it's weird how the universe will put things in your path to do that. Where now I'm in a position where we're doing some business, but there is a lot of good. Like, I've been wanting to figure out how can I do good while still being a capitalist?
Well, that business that you're in now, to me,
it's the perfect junction.
We're helping people get back on their feet,
and it's the perfect junction.
Yeah.
For that, and I think
I agree.
Those people that you do, because the most important thing is the people and the loyalty that builds.
Oh, and culture,
and people
love.
don't forget,
like,
and people don't forget that.
Yeah, and that's love. That's love. You want to talk about love? It's like helping people because you really genuinely want to help people. Not because they owe you or, it's because you want to help people because that's who we truly are.
Yeah. And then that's how I, am nice to Blake now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, glad we got the podcast off. And again, please be nice to my friend this week. And that's you. If you want a red book, please contact us. We'll send you a red book. If you want to come on the podcast, please let us know. We'd love to have you. And we will see you next week on the laundry list.